Hello Tubesters, it's me Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I just wanted to give you a review of a figure that I bought from the Telford Scale Model World yesterday. He's a Turkish Great War infantryman and he's from a company called Tommy's War. And the scene that you're seeing on here is Americans at Bellewood, I can never pronounce it. But as I say, I've got a Turkish figure and another figure. These are 1 in 32 scale. This is a catalogue, so I can't see I'm breaking any copyright, as they'll obviously want to sell the figures. But that's the type of thing you're looking at. They obviously, Tommy's War, if you don't know, British soldiers were called Tommies, from, again, some people say it's from the recruiting poster at the time, and they just came up with the name of Tommy Atkins, and that was transferred to everybody. Any other, ranks below officers were Toms or Tommies, and to this day the British Army and a lot of regiments still refer to each other as Toms. They do different vignettes and different scale, different single figures from all parts of the Great War. From 1914 to 1918. We've got some King's East African Rifles, an officer and a foot soldier talking to a German officer. We've got Gurkhas, New Zealanders with the famous lemon squeeze hat. Lots of different, we've got a trench raid going on there. I prefer at-rest poses. I always have done, rather than attacking poses. I just think they look a bit toyish in a way. I don't know if that's the word I'm after, but yeah, I prefer at-rest poses rather than. Saying that though, guess what Gav's bought? I've got this mounted yeomanry figure here. Unfortunately, he's for Christmas, and as soon as I got back from the show and checked the figure was okay, my wife had it straight off me to wrap up. So I never understand that. I've seen the figure, I've bought the figure, I should be able to have it now. But it's this Turkish figure that I've actually. Now, I got the Turkish figure in my hands first before I looked down and saw the mounted figure, and I didn't even realise that obviously they made this almost like a vignette. It's called the Affair of Hooge. I think it's probably pronounced Hooge. This is Palestine 1917, so I'll be showing you this Turkish figure in a moment. Also got Australian Light Horse, where famously, at least into the last year of the war or so, they had bayonets rather than sabres, as they weren't classed as cavalry. I do believe, if memory serves me right, they were given sabres towards the end. Again, different Stormtrooper, is it? Stormtroopers. Also, it's predominantly British at the moment. Obviously, it'll be expanding over time, I'd imagine. I say these are 1 in 32 scale figures. Different vignettes. They do some artillery pieces as well, and I believe a couple of vehicles. I think that's quite a nice one. Gassed. Sorry, I'm really struggling to get everything in here. I've got soldiers and model bits and pieces everywhere at the moment. I've really got to get a hold on this workbench and get it cleaned up a bit. We've got some nursing staff as well. And here is a view of some of the vehicles. So that's the company I've got them from. That's Tommy's War, 1 in 32 scale. They come packaged a bit like the Alpine miniatures in these plastic boxes. They're quite sturdy. There's no artwork, so you'll have to go away and do your research. Or obviously pick up a catalogue of theirs, and I'm sure that they'll have the obviously painted figures on the website. You can use those if you wanted to, but half the fun of painting figures is going away and doing the research. So let's have a look at our figure at last. Let's move the camera down so we can actually see what we're seeing. Right, just come in the one bag. I have opened this and had a look already, obviously. And now it won't come out the bag for me. It's classic on camera. As Gav breaks lots of pieces. That's the one bit you've got to be careful of. Right, we'll go from head to toe. So face is always sell figures for me. I've got a fair, well, I say a fair few. I've got 2 or 3 books on the Turkish Army in the Great War, mainly for the Gallipoli campaign, and they often had these waxed moustaches going up in the air. So that's nothing, you know. It's that's quite common. Figure's nice enough. You've got the teeth in there, as he's obviously grimacing in a battle cry. Is that the Kalmak or Kalpak, the hat? It's designed as well without the pronounced peak, so that when the soldiers are praying they can put their head to the ground. This piece here, I'm not sure if that's troubled away. I don't believe it is. I do believe they're actually like that. Although it's been a while since I've dipped into my Turkish Army books, so I'd have to have a look at that. There's a small hole there. Whether it's done for you to pin, I believe it is, because there's a corresponding one on the torso. Obviously we've got this big casting block. You could argue, could you have the casting block on the neck? But the figures that I've done so far, I prefer this method where you've got a very nice smooth neck, so you've got a nice join. That, it might look problematical to somebody who's not done it before, but let's get a file. Sorry, I'm filing away AB Prussians at the moment. Yeah, you know, always wear a mask. This is resin. It's not good for you. If like me, I tried when I started doing resin figures, just buying a paper dust mask. I wear reading glasses to paint with, and it kept fogging them up with your breath. So I actually use my airbrush spraying mask, which is one of those rubber ones with the filters either side. Yes, it's a bit heavy duty for cleaning figures, but if you do get that problem, get yourself a rubber spraying mask. They're not massively expensive, and that'll solve the problem of your glasses fogging up, and you're still then all covered up for breathing. When I'm cleaning these figures, and I'm going to do one of these, I don't know if I'll do this, I might actually do this figure on camera. If I do that, I'll show you the process, but in case I don't, obviously get a razor saw. You can get them from modelling suppliers online, or at a shop if you're lucky to be near one. Obviously cut away first the majority, then peel away literally by scraping a sharp scaffold blade, and then finishing the rest off with sandpaper, either skinny sticks or even, you know, a metal file will do you. And then you may just have to put some plastic putty round, but I believe you'd probably get away with that, just a sandpapering. But what I also do is, to collect the particles, I put a couple of paper towels, kitchen towels on my desk, and I keep them wet, and that'll collect the dust for you. And make sure when you are cleaning your desk off afterwards, keep your mask on until you've actually wiped all your desk down. As I say, you don't want to be breathing this stuff in. It's not great for you. So that's the head. I'm quite happy with that. As I say, he's got a nice grimace, some cheekbones in there, neck's nice, there's nice folds to the skin of the neck and that, so that'll give you something to put some shadows in. So that's our head. So we'll look at our torso. It's in case the light's robbing it a bit, it's in a bit of a greeny grey resin, I should say. Again, we've got our belt buckle picked out nicely. I don't know if you can see it under the camera with the lights, but there is the star and the sickle, or half moon shape, in the belt buckle. It's in the pouches for the rifle, for the clips of ammunition. There'll be a bayonet scabbard going on there for the Mauser. There are some holes here which will be really easy to fill with some putty. There's a couple that you'll probably be wise to just pick out, and then just fill at the same time you're filling that one. Underneath, it's not too much of a problem. Some very faint flash on there, and it's so thin you can see straight through it, so that won't be a problem removing. Usual plugs on the feet. Do the same thing again. You know, go so far in with your razor saw. I prefer a razor saw. Keep the foot supported. Sometimes I'll put a lolly stick or something underneath it and then file down. I don't particularly like just filing in your hands like that, in case you do, you know, I mean, this is fairly solid, but you never know, you might crack something off. But don't be tempted to put a Stanley knife or a very sharp scalpel. It doesn't often work, and you could well end up snapping the foot off. But again, we've got our jacket, bits of wear and tear on the jacket, and it's flying up there. The one thing that I noticed when I looked at earlier is this strap seems to be missing here, I imagine for the water bottle, which is, you'll see in a minute. There's a line there. I don't know if that's just a mould line or if I believe it's more of a mould line than off this, but that's missing. I can't see anywhere why that shouldn't be there. I mean, at the front you'll see it disappears, but that's because when you put the arm to it, it does actually obviously disappear from view, but I think that's a cock up in the moulding process. I might be wrong. But again, get yourself some putty. It doesn't have to be green stuff. I use Magic Sculpt, and that's fantastic stuff, and you'll easily replicate that. If you don't want to do it with putty, you could use a piece of plastic card, very thin or something like that, but putty should do you. It's a shame. That's the one drawback on that. It's the only thing that I could say that I would say was, apart from the hole down there as well, but it's very rare that you'll get a complete resin figure that hasn't got some type of little bubble in it or something. Oops, the camera nearly went then. Slight hole here. It might be, I can't remember if it's a hole or a dark bit of resin, but again, there's nothing there that won't actually be cleaned up quite well. The head and neck sits in really well. I can't do it on camera, behind the camera so well. There's a tiny, come on Gavin, I looked at this earlier and it's fine. There's a tiny gap between the neck and the torso. Just a bit of Vallejo plastic putty or Tamiya plastic putty on a wet brush, smooth it in, that'll disappear, no worries. Yep, that's our torso then. Here's the arm, big plug on the arm again, although, you know, again, where else would it go realistically? And to be fair, you're not going to lose any detail because the material there, obviously, as the arm's forward, that material will be fairly flat to the arm. So again, do the same again, razor saw, then peel it away with a scalpel and then a bit of a sand. If you do want to show a bit of folded material, you just get your file, like this needle file, and file some in, but I doubt you'd need it because, as I say, that material would be flat. The Mauser rifle is all in scale, so it's nice and thin, so there's a very slight bend. It's you know, it's very rare that you'll find something this thin in resin that won't have a very slight bend. Put that in some fairly warm water, and sometimes you can even do it with the warmth of your finger if they're small enough, but it's just a bit of warm water to make it a bit more malleable, and even then it's not massively out of shape. And that will have this bayonet underneath it. So again, it's designed so you don't have to have the bayonet on if you don't want to, but as he's lunging forward, and I'm going to have him with that mounted figure, we'll have his bayonet on. There's a scabbard of the bayonet and the water bottle. And then the other arm, which obviously you've got the hand to this arm, a bit of flash around it, but it is quite loose, flaky flash, so that'll go quite easy. Again, casting plug And just obviously once you've cleaned up the figure where you're removing plugs and that, then obviously give it a wash in some soapy water, warm soapy water. Again, you've got a nice seam to the jacket. The Turkish, I mean, let's face it, all of that period, they're very plain. Only the Germans tended to have a bit more flashy cuffs and that if they were as part of the uniforms. But the Turks were obviously quite. It was quite a ragged army at times with their finances and the way the empire was stretched around. So there's our Tommy's War, a 1 in 32 scale Turkish infantryman from Palestine in 1917. As I say, overall on a first look, I'd probably give it probably an 8 out of 10. It's very rare I'd give something a 10 out of 10. It would have had a 9 if the strap wasn't missing at the back, which is a bit of an oversight. The little bubbles there, that tends to happen from time to time, so I'm not really overly concerned with that. A bit of putty, but it'll just mean that this here you'll just have to take a bit of time just to make a small bit of strapping up. As I say, I can't see why it would be missing, and I'm trying to be fair, but I don't see why it would be missing. There's nothing else, there. So yeah, I'd say 8 out of 10. It would have been 9 if the strap was intact. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I've got a twin pack of Alpine figures that I also bought at the show, which I'll do a review at some stage in the week. I can't, as I say, it's a shame I can't give you the yeomanry one. It's a mounted figure and the horse looks really nice, but I can't give you an in-depth look at that yet as it's been ripped out of my hands. So you take care of yourselves, guys. I hope everything's going well with you, and we will catch each other very soon on another video. Cheers.